Welcome, everybody, to the first ever free Essential Tana Skills live Q&A session. So if you are somehow coming across this without knowing anything that I just said, the Essential Tana Skills is a playlist that I created on YouTube to help people who are coming into Tana for the first time get a handle on some of the things that might be unfamiliar, how to work with nodes, references, fields, that unique Tana term, super tags, and searches, and then sort of some additional things that help you understand how those work together and how they complement one another. The playlist is designed to be very basic and very fundamental oriented, so that you can get how do things move around, how do they interrelate under your belt, and thus when you're working to build some of your workflows, you'll have a much better grounding in the mechanics of Tana. So Essential Tana Skills is not the place you're going to go to get a whole bunch of templates or to get a whole bunch of workflows pre-built. I'm not saying those things aren't bad. Those things are great. I have my own templates and workflows and so forth that I share. But Essential Tana Skills is about the mechanics, your proficiency with Tana, so that you can get those things under your belt and build those better workflows for yourself. I was just saying before I turned on the recording here and I was talking to Sally, who's on the call here with me, and saying that it's not that Tana is particularly difficult. It's that it's not really like anything you've seen before. And if you're coming in from tools for thought like Roam Research or LogSeq or even Obsidian, there's going to be some things that are familiar. Obviously, like Roam or LogSeq, Tana is at core an outliner. But there's so many other things going on. It's not that they are confusing per se. It's that they are potentially such a paradigm shift from what you've been working in before, that it takes a little while to reorient yourself. That's the goal of a tool like Essential Tana Skills, is that will help you reorient by just focusing on those fundamentals. And then once you're reoriented, I hope you'll be comfortable. I am going to show, before I turn to Sally's, as she put it, burning question that she has about Tana today. I'm going to share really quickly what I consider to be the most fundamental relationship that you can learn in Tana. I guess I shouldn't say most fundamental. Obviously, there are things underlying this, but I think it's the first building block that once you've gotten to it, then you can do a whole bunch of other stuff that looks very complicated once the a bunch of it is built, but it still all boils down to just this one simple relationship between fields, super tags, and searches. And effectively, this is the way to connect things like the tasks that belong to a project, the tasks that have been delegated to a person, the things that you want to discuss with a person the next time you see them. That's what I'm actually going to build here as the example. The things you want to discuss in the next meeting that you have with a particular person. Those relationships between entities like task, project, things you want to discuss, person. This is the thing that we're going to capture here. And just about every dashboard, just about every project dashboard or tasks dashboard or whatever it may be that you've built is going to have underpinning it just a bunch of these simple relationships combined. Okay, so let me share my screen really quick here. I say let me share as though anybody's going to try to stop me. Here is a brand new Tana workspace I just spun up here a few minutes ago, just to keep it nice and clean, so I could show this to you. So I'm going to create here something that I think is in a lot of our lives, and that is a tool to help us remember what we wanted to talk about with somebody the next time we see them. And so as we think about that sort of talk about with somebody, we have the thing we want to talk about, and we have the person we want to talk about it with. Those are the two entities that we want to interlink here. And so to do that, I'm going to start by saying, okay, my two entities are the thing I want to talk about and the person I want to talk about it with. And I'll create those. I'll call this discussion point. That's a super tag. Hashtag discussion point created as a super tag, and also hashtag person. And I'll create that as a super tag. Now, just because I am a little OCD in my Tana workspace, I'm going to change that away off from green because for me, green immediately means task in my workspace. So we're gonna allow myself to be a little more comfortable here. The relationship we want is that I want to be able to quickly capture discussion points so that I can surface them in the context of the person whenever I talk to them next. I'll be able to easily find within the context of the person any discussion point that I had previously captured. So that's the relationship we're trying to build. And when we're trying to build that relationship, the capture side should usually have a field that is related to the other super tag. And the surface side should have a field related also, or excuse me, a search related to the other super tag as well. So the capture side is discussion point. I want to put a field in here that connects me over to person. Okay. So I'll put a field. I'm going to call it participant. And actually, I'll put a little S in it here. I'm doing that because later I might also want to use this field for meetings or things like that. And this is just a term that works generically. Since I want this to relate to person, I'm going to create this as I'm configuring this field. I'm going to create it as an options from super tag and choose person. So that means that the only thing that's going to populate when I go to my discussion point as options is things that are tagged person. Right now, only one thing is tagged person. It's down here. If I were to then add this person here, let's say Sally, the only option I'll have here is Sally. But if I also add Tim and Janie and Terrence, I can take all of those person and all of them are now available in that participant field. And just so you know, I know I'm moving fairly quickly here. Anybody, this is essentially what I'm building here is essentially the final exam, if you will. There's no actual exam, but the final exam of Essential Tana Skills, the playlist. We get to this point, but you'll already have a grounding in how nodes and references and fields and super tags and searches work. You'll understand that an options from super tag is a field type and what that does. And the playlist includes exercises, so you can actually do that yourself. You can paste them into your Tana graph and do that yourself. So this, even if it seems like, wow, you just said, I assumed I knew a lot there. The assumption is built in the sense that the assumption is not an assumption in Tana for essential Tana skills. We build to this point. And so let's say I wanted to talk to Sally next time I see her, and I wanted to talk about the cattle getting out of the fence. I guess Sally's been not have it has holes in her fence and the cattle are escaping. Okay, this is the capture side. This is the side where I say anytime I have an idea for a discussion point, I want to be able to get that captured and associate that with a person right away. What I need then on the surface side, when I go into Sally's place here, I want to be able to see right away without having to go and sort through. If I have 57 different references to Sally, I'd have to go find them all here. But it is here if you just wanted to do that. But I want to be able to see it just really quick and easy. I want to be able to configure the person super tag. And I'm going to use, you could put this here. There's nothing wrong with putting it in the content template. I'm going to use a thing called related content, which is down in advanced. Third thing down here, at least as of the time of this filming. I'm going to put a search right here in related content that allows me to see any discussion point that's related to whichever person happens to be I happen to have open right now. So I'm not going to search for things that are related to Sally specifically, because then every person I would be seeing discussion points related to Sally. I want to see the discussion points related to whichever person I'm doing. And here's how I do that. I'll say topics to discuss. That's the name of my search. I'll make it a search. And then within here, I'll say I want to see any discussion point where the participant is parent. And parent just means the node above this one. And so when I click done here, sometimes these don't immediately populate, but once I open it up here, you'll see the cattle getting out of the fence is now available here to see when I go into Sally's node here. You'll see also when I go into Tim, that doesn't exist. But if I were to create, the horses in the meadow, very bucolic today I am. A lot of farm references. You'll see that Tim has the horses in the meadow, but that didn't add horses in the meadow to Sally's. They're still just talking about the cattle getting out of the fence there. Okay, that's the primary relationship that you're building. Is you're going to be able to build that field in one super tag that relates to a search in the other, and the field in the one super tag relates you to the other super tag, and the search in the other super tag relates you back to the original super tag. Let me build one more quick, and I won't narrate it quite as intensely. Let's say I also wanted to see discussion points show up in upcoming calls that I have with customers. We'll say, let's say I have a super tag call here, and let's have a little fun with this super tag. Let's say not only do I want that search in it, but I also, of course, want to be able to note who the participants are in that call. This is in another super tag, so I'll just grab that from there. That's already there. And because I know that since a call super tag is going to be call, I can use this advanced option build title from fields and say call with, and then I can say participant and put that there. And that way, whoever gets put in here is automatically set up. So, I have a call with Sally, and that's set up there the way that is. And so if I go into that call, it says it's with Sally. And I could do this. I could click on Sally here, and I would then see topics to discuss, and it would bring me over here, and I could see this topic of discussion. But what's really fun is I can also put an additional field and discussion point. And that additional field and discussion point could be, let's say, let's call it the upcoming meeting or upcoming. We'll call it upcoming calls since we're in this here, and I'll say upcoming call actually, and I'll make this an options field, and I'll say only thing I want to see here. I'm going to create a search here in sources of options. The only thing I want to see here are any calls. We'll make this as upcoming calls. Only thing I want to see here are any calls. Well, not open search, sorry. my button went one too high there. Search node. I went search node. Any call where, and I have to have one other field in call. We're going to put a date here. Okay, I'll use just Tana's set date field. We'll say any call that is today or in the future. So greater than date. And we'll use a fancy little thing here called for relative date yesterday. Anything greater than yesterday is today or in the future. Okay. So I have my calls here. I have my date field. Now I'm in position to go ahead and inside call. Let me see. I can close that out. And I can close this out. Okay. So inside, well, let's go ahead and do this first. Let's make sure our upcoming date thing works here. So that means that when I'm in a discussion point, as long as a call is in the future, I should be able to see it as an option. If it were to shift back to being in the past, it'll no longer be available as an option. It's just not there. Okay, so that means any call that is today or in the future now shows up as an option. So we'll include that here. But we still haven't built the query inside call with Sally where I can see those upcoming meetings. So let's say, or Tim or whatever. Within this related content, I want to see topics to discuss. We're going to do one little wrinkle at the end of this. It's going to be really fun. So hang on with me. I'll say discussion point where upcoming call is same concept here, parent. And so now, this is fun because I'm going to talk with Tim, but it's on the call with Sally. That's useful for what I'm doing right now. If I go into call with Sally, this horses in the meadow shows up. If I go into the call with Tim, or I go into Tim here, horses in the meadow shows up. But of course, this is the wrong person and the wrong call here. So let's go ahead and create ourselves a call with Tim as well. I don't need all of that. This is build titles from fields. Call with, we'll make it with Tim. And we'll also make this sometime in the future so it'll show up. So we'll switch this over to call with Tim. So now, let's say for whatever reason I didn't get Tim captured here, but I had call with Tim captured. So horses in the meadow will still show up. This is the little fun wrinkle we're going to put in here. Let's say I have this Tim here, and I have the call with Tim. You can see that it shows up in here. I can fix this search so that it's not just looking for that, but it can find it whether or not I have an upcoming meeting, the upcoming meeting set in the upcoming call. So in other words, I could say or the upcoming call is parent, or the participant is parent, and this is a little extra fun here, parent dot participants, meaning I'm not just looking for the node above. I'm looking for who the participants are in the node above. So now this is where it gets super fun. Call with Tim. I hop in here. Yeah, of course it's there because Horses in the Meadow is set to be with call with Tim. Let's imagine though, for whatever reason, I create another note here, and we'll say the Dolphins in the Cove, and it's a discussion point. And I know I'm going to talk about it with Tim, but I don't have any particular idea what meetings I'm going to have with Tim coming up. So when I capture that, so I just put Tim. Doesn't matter. When I get here, Dolphins in the Cove are going to show up because I specified either or the meeting or the participant. All of that sounds very complicated. And yes, I moved quickly enough that if you don't know what I'm talking about, it would seem kind of complicated. But when you work through the individual relationships, nothing here is any different from just a field in one super tag that is related to a search in the other super tag. That's all that's happening here. It's just a layer of that on top of one another. And once you have, and I suggest Essential Tana Skills is a great way to build that, once you have that mechanic of how that relationship works, it will take a little bit because, like as I said, Tana's not difficult per se, just unfamiliar to the way a lot of other things might work. Once you understand that, suddenly you're going to have this power to do all kinds of stuff. You can build, we can assign tasks to our people here. We can, and all just by adding a field in the task super tag, and then and a search inside the person super tag. All of that becomes very, very simple once you understand this basic relationship. So anyway, I wanted to share that because I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what is a little bit of quick and easy magic here. I know not quick and easy if you don't know anything about Tana yet, but it doesn't take very long to get the foundation built up enough that this is fairly quick and fairly easy. So there you go. That's my quick demo here at the beginning of the call. I said it wouldn't take more than 10 minutes, and it's about 17 minutes, but that's the conversion rate. Sally's in Canada. I'm in the United States. That's a conversion rate. 17 minutes. That's 10 minutes here in the United States. So, Sally, what's your burning question that you had about Tana?
Well, it's regarding the new template, the new T4A template.
Okay.
And so let me
interrupt you really quickly, just so that people know what we're talking about here. Obviously, this is Essential Tana Skills. I mentioned that, with Essential Tana Skills, you want to, lay the groundwork for the mechanics, not build templates, not install templates or anything like that. However, one of the reasons that I am an altruistic fellow in sharing the free Essential Tana Skills, but there may be the slightest ulterior motive that maybe once you've done that and you know who I am and I'm sort of a productivity guy in Tana, you might be interested in buying my Tana for Action template and installing that because it's a lot easier to use once you understand the fundamentals of Tana. So what Sally's asking me about here is my Tana for Action template, which is perfectly fair game for this call because it obviously is built in Tana and uses Tana. But that's the reference when she says Tana for Action or T4A. That's what we're talking about. I didn't mean to interrupt, Sally. I just wanted to give the context in the call here. Go ahead.
So I created a new workspace,
mm-hmm.
and I installed the template.
Yes.
And then I created a day tag because there was no day tag on my today node.
Right.
And extended it into the super tag day T4A.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything looks great. I did the Google Calendar sync, and it is showing up on the right side in the agenda, but it is not flowing
showing
through
up
to
in for
my,
the agenda search. Yes.
yes.
If you don't mind sharing your screen, I think that's something that we can probably fix fairly quickly. And so either I know that you sometimes you have Tana open as an app, and sometimes it's in Safari. Just either one is fine. Just whichever is the easiest for you. But while you're sharing there, just a little bit of context. So my Tana for Action template creates, a structure built around my action-powered productivity approach and methodology. That is essentially an implementation of that in Tana. It's meant to be Lego blocks. It's not meant to be restrictive toward you at all. It gives you tasks and projects, has the relationships interbuilt. And so that's what we're talking about here. The agenda thing that's on the right side of the screen here is from Tana itself, that is related to their Google Calendar integration. So in other words, the pieces you're seeing here, like that daily agenda thing on the left side of the screen, that's from my Tana for Action template. There's also a dashboard for day that if you right click Sally on the day super tag there for me, there you
Oh,
go, and choose extensions, not configure, there you go, day dashboard. You'll see that there's a dashboard that comes in from Tana for Action as well. I just give you the option to be able to switch it on and off. Go ahead and turn it back off so we'll be able to see our agenda thing back in there. So you can, do all sorts of things with that. Just to choose it, remove is the header there. Click day dashboard.
oh,
You got it. Okay.
okay.
So, what we're looking at here then is, and this is common in Tana. I think one of the reasons it does get a reputation as being difficult is that because it's so powerful and flexible, there are little things that you might not necessarily know that can have a rather largish impact beyond what it seems like. It seems like, oh my gosh, everything's crazy, and it's just like one little setting that's different. But you don't know that. You don't have any way of knowing that if you're not super comfortable in the tool yet. I think the learning curve is less a matter of getting leverage from it. I think you can get leverage from it very quickly, and more a matter of not knowing enough of the underpinning that something could go wrong and you wouldn't really know why, and it might not be any major deal, but it looks like a big deal because a lot is affected. In this case, the Google Calendar integration is bringing in events with their own, with the structure that Tana has built for it, and that structure is not necessarily related to what I'm doing with Tana for Action unless we explicitly create that relationship. And sometimes in the onboarding of I should say, setup of the Google Calendar, some of that will set. And sometimes I think it doesn't necessarily always happen. So, but we can do it manually. And there's two ways. There's one way that's the direct way that should be the way it works. And if that doesn't work, then we know we have a workaround that can fix that. If you want to go, Sally, to the bottom left of your screen, to the little head there for that's the settings. And then go to the gear settings there. Click on that. And then we'll go to the Google Calendar settings, which are the second things in there in that menu. You're up at the right hand side, the thing that the panel that opens on
Oh,
the right
right.
side. There you go. Okay. And so let's scroll down to our raw configuration here, and let's see if we can just change. Keep going. Keep scrolling. You set your scheduled on field. That's correct. We got the event T4A is there. This is sort of what I've had this happen before, where it just doesn't give you the option for an event, the adding the event field, which is unusual. I don't really understand why that is. Event destination, it gives you, that's not it there. Leave it be. That just is where it's going. Keep going down. Yeah, it didn't. There isn't, for whatever reason, a one thing that is the field, and I think I have it on my set out, so I can give you the name of the field here. Let me open it up real quick. So mainly so I know what I'm looking for when we try looking for it here. Event super tag. So there is no event super tag here. Scroll up a ways on this right side here. I mean, yeah, it's got the fields that are related to it, but it doesn't actually specify. You see that it says attendee super tag and it says person. There should also, at least though there is on mine, be one that says event super tag and chooses the event from T4A. That would allow you then to, they'd be related there. Let's try something. So where it says attendees field, if you could just
And these
click,
fields?
it's yeah, it's
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
right
Okay.
there. Don't click there, but click where it says attendees field. So up there you go. Click there, and we'll get a hit Shift Command Enter. This is on Mac, obviously, but what this will do is give us a node up here to play with. Let's see what we got here. Go ahead and hit Shift, hit the greater than symbol to start searching for a field.
Hit, hit the
Greater
in
than,
here.
it's Shift period is
Oh,
greater
greater.
than. So yeah. The field,
Uh,
like you're going to be creating a
shift
field.
period.
And start typing the word event. And choose and hit space and start typing super tag.
Okay.
Okay, and go back a little ways to the last thing. Try clicking show fields from super tag. It's like the fifth thing down here in this menu.
Oh, right.
I don't think this is gonna solve anything for us, but I was curious. Okay, yeah, just hit escape to get out of here,
Oh,
and then hit Command Z until we get back a ways here. In other words, undo. Command Z is and Control Z if you're on Windows is like the something you want to keep track of if you're in Tana. Do it until the field disappears. Keep hitting
oh,
it,
okay.
and then there you go. Good, far enough. That way, that way we know that we're not only did we delete it, we also returned it to the state it was in before we added anything. So there's nothing is going to be left over. It's much easier to undo than to delete because then something might have
Mm.
been left over. So I want to try something here because I saw somebody do it before and it worked, but I'm not sure it will work for us here. Go ahead and put your cursor in raw configuration where it says raw configuration. See if you can put a cursor there. Will it blink if you click there? No. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead while this is open and hit Command K. And start typing set, and then start typing a space and event. Yeah, it's not got it in here either. So I think, Sally, what we're going to have to do is do the thing that we did, in yours, where we, added that extra little command that made sure that anything that came in and was set to this particular
Wow.
thing
Mhm.
came around. Okay, so which is no big deal. That's pretty easy. I'm going to ask real quick to take control of your screen. So this is, it's possible, and if any of my friends at Tana are watching this, if there's something I'm missing, by all means, please comment on the video here and let me know, because I would like to know what I might be missing here. But I don't see event super tag as an option, and so what's coming in here to this search is just it's using the tagged event base type as opposed to the tag, and it's coming in when they're coming in. Sorry, I meant to click on it this way. It's coming in with no tag at all. Okay, but we have a little thing here that's useful, and that is we know where it's going. We know it's going to this node. So when they go here, they come in here, and they may not be tagged, but we can have a little fun here. We can tag all of these with Tana for Actions event T4A. And beyond that, we can actually, within this node, this is where we get into realms where the average user wouldn't, especially new user, wouldn't know what to do here. We can go into this node and we can say anytime an event is added to this node, we want it to be tagged event. And that way, anything new that comes in here, I don't know why I decided to do it that way, but I'll fix it so it doesn't. When it comes in here on child added. Okay, well, you want to make me dance for it here? I'll dance for it. No problem. I can do this. Okay. That way, anytime a node is added here and all of the counter events are added, it will receive once this once a child is added here, it will receive this event T4A super tag. Okay. In this case, you know what? I'm doing this wrong. That's why it was fighting me there. I need to say on child added. I need a command here, and that command will add the super tag. I think child super tag. This is what I want. I'm in the wrong spot. I knew there was something wrong with what I was doing here. That didn't make sense. There. So ignore the previous thing I did, except for this. I always say this. I do this all the time in when I'm sharing my live events and things like this. Relish my mistakes because when I make a mistake, it's a reminder that I am just figuring a lot of this stuff out the same as you are. Okay. I may be a few steps ahead, but I learned by trial and error myself. That one I caught the behavior wasn't what I expected because it's looking for a command here, which it should be. I had scrolled past child super tag. This is where it needed to be from the get go. This means that any time a node is added to Google Calendar events, it will add this super tag to it. We went ahead and polished the ones that were here already, so they got it, and then we added it to that. So it's a little bit of a workaround. It's a fairly easy workaround if you know where to look and if you click the right things, like I didn't at first. And we can't test it immediately for the simple reason that we don't know the events have to come in. We can test this though, and you can see that those events are indeed populating that search now, and they weren't before. The part we can't test is the will it add the child super tag appropriately because we can't control when events are coming in from the calendar. But the next time it does its sync with the calendar and brings in new events, it should have all those events properly tagged as event T4A. It's the same thing we did before, Sally. So, and it did work before. So,
Okay. Okay. Great.
yes,
Great. Thank you.
absolutely. Yes. And it is, although the thing that we showed there required a little expert knowledge to know where to look, like configure
Oh,
node is not obvious. The thing I want to point out is that the fundamental, relationship between things in Tana, like fields and super tags, what we were doing was still just working with fields and super tags. Tana's parameters, I call it parameter when it's inside like a settings area. They're still fields. They are at their root fields, and what we added in there was a link to the super tag. And the reason it didn't work in the one place when I added that was because I was trying to add something that was of the wrong form for that field. It was looking for commands, and I was in the wrong spot. Which was
right.
that's a tip off to me who when it didn't work, I fussed a little bit, but then I should have recognized right away that it was Tana fussing at me, not me fussing at Tana that mattered. Tana was right. So I don't know why the event super tag field or parameter or whatever didn't show up as an option inside the Google Calendar setup, but this functionality will treat it the same way. You won't miss anything because that'll still be added when it arrives.
Great. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
It's,
Absolutely. Happy to help. And although that also is related to my Tana for Action template, I mean the idea of being able to link a field or a super tag or what have you to from the Google Calendar integration to your Tana workspace Tana setup, that counts. That's interesting and useful whether or not you're using Tana for Action, because whatever you're using there, you still need to be able to get those things to show up where you want them to show up. So yeah, great. Any other burning questions?
um, I don't think so. Did everything look correct to you as far as the template itself? I
Yeah,
see
at the
on
moment, yes.
on the left panel that my old workspace disappeared, and probably I deleted it. I think there's just one workspace there.
If you
That
click Manage Workspaces there on the left side, your old root workspace is still there. It's just not added to the sidebar. So
okay.
if you wanted or needed to bring anything from that old workspace over, just click Add to Sidebar,
Okay.
and then that will bring it over. Then you can can, and I'm not saying copy them like copy references. I'm just saying like, look at them manually, bring the information from them in if you need to.
Right.
And then, that way you won't lose the thread of that. But it will not go away unless you actively leave the workspace, which,
Ah,
so all that happened here is that you removed it from the sidebar.
and that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's still
Okay.
all that information is still, still there. You haven't lost it. And if you
Um,
want to work with it, you just want to add it back to the sidebar so you can see it. I mean, I think, could you mouse over where it says old root workspace there? Yeah, I think you have to add it back to the sidebar in order to work with it. So if you click add
okay.
to sidebar next
Okay.
to it there, you don't have to click it now. But if you put your mouse over add to sidebar um, to the right of it, you'll see that then it turns into a clickable thing. You don't have to right now, but
Okay. Okay.
but it's not going anywhere. It doesn't. You don't lose that information unless you leave the workspace. And this is not leaving the workspace. This is just
Oh,
hiding it
it's
here.
not. Oh,
Correct.
okay.
You have not left it.
Yes. Okay.
Yep, you're good.
All right.
In fact, it's hard to leave the workspace. If you click on where it says Tana Workspace 2025, yeah, that'll take you to the top level here. Go and click the little three dot menu to the right of private on the screen there. It says right side of the screen,
Oh,
private three dot menu, and click
uh,
the menu. Click the little three dots there. Oh,
I
it's behind your Zoom thing, isn't it?
yeah.
We did this before. Inside that menu, inside that menu is a thing to leave the workspace. Don't click that, but that's where it is. So in
Oh,
other words, you're not going to unintentionally leave the workspace. You have to
right.
get in there, do that. If you click that, there's going to be a confirmation. They're going to be like, "Are you sure you want to leave the workspace?" So you're not going to have any catastrophes
Okay.
like
Okay,
that.
that's perfect.
Yep,
That is great. No, it's gone smoothly, and
excellent.
I'm working through the tutorials and bit by bit.
Yes.
Luckily, I can repeat and pause and slow
Absolutely.
down and
That's the
all
goal.
those
That's what I
things.
love about video. I mean, I know that some people prefer to read things in text format, but for me, I have to see somebody doing it to be able to use it. And so
Hmm.
that's why I stick with video. I mean, let's be honest. The other reason I do it in video is I'm lazy, and it's a lot easier to just show how to do it than it is to take the time to figure out how to write it clearly. It's easier to show it clearly than it is to figure out exactly how to write it clearly. There's a great video out there. This is years old now, but it's a great video of a dad having his children write him instructions for how to make a peanut butter sandwich. And he follows the instructions exactly as written, which lead to, some extremely weird results because, we assume someone's going to know how to open a jar or put a knife in the jar and how to do all of that. That's uh, you know, that's the problem for me with trying to write out how to make a super tag and add a field to super tag. There's so much more language to be done than when I can just say, just go here, do this, and show it. It's a lot easier than writing it.
And I think a lot easier to learn,
I think so
really.
too. I do too.
Yeah.
I think it's why these kind of videos, including like what we're doing here today, I think are, you know, some of the most valuable ones I do because it's listening to a guy talk about a topic that can be written just as easily. It's why I try to keep those videos very short when I'm, discussing a concept. But when I'm demoing something, I think you can't beat video content for that.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And especially sometimes it takes a little bit to think something out to make
Right.
sense of it. Oh, he did
Exactly.
that because of this reason.
That's
And
right.
when you can pause and even pause and back up,
Right.
then it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
good.
All right.
Well, I should run. Thank you
Let's do it.
very much.
Absolutely. And for those of you watching the replay here, I hope that you got something out of this. And this will be something I'm doing at least monthly. We'll see what the demand looks like as we go. I mean, Tana just launched, and I literally created these like 2 days ago. So I didn't expect, large crowds or anything at this first session. But I hope that it's something that, as more people are coming into Tana, I can be useful here. And it's a free environment. I do have a paid new course called Tana for Newbies. And I say course, it's really not a course in the sense that there's content of curriculum. The content is I'm just hopping on Zoom. Well, I think I'm doing it in Circle. I'm hopping on a video 4 times a week for half an hour. spread across the week, spread across time zones. So there's like an 8 in the morning, and 11 in the morning. I'm in US Eastern, 4 in the afternoon, and 7 in the afternoon. And with the help of AI guiding me as to what various places I'll cover, that should cover the whole world, at least by one of those you can get to. And Tana for Newbies is paid, but it's cheap. It's $28 for hopping in for 2 weeks, $48 if you want to hop in for 4 weeks. And you'll have those sessions. You'll have a place you can ask questions in my community. And then also I'm giving a discount on one-on-one sessions. So if you're in that for a couple of weeks or in for 4 weeks, you can book, if you have questions that you think will take longer than one of the sessions, one of the drop-ins, you want to build something specific and you think it'll take a while, there's a discount of $30 off of a one-on-one coaching with me as well. So anybody who's this format looks useful, but you think it'll go beyond, you'd like to be able to hop in with some more specific questions on a regular basis and post them in a specific place, that might be of value to you. All right. Take care. See you all. See you, Sally.
Bye bye.